100,000 years ago, two people hear a sound in the grass. One assumes it's the wind and keeps walking. The other assumes it's a predator and freezes. Most days, it's the wind. But on the one day it isn't, only the second person survives to have children. You are descended from the one who assumed the worst. Every ancestor in your line won that bet by expecting danger. That instinct kept them alive. Now it lives in your pocket, refreshing a feed full of catastrophes. Let's start with the math of survival, because that's where all of this begins. Imagine you're standing on that ancient plain and you hear the rustle. You have two ways to be wrong. You can assume it's a predator when it's really the wind, or you can assume it's the wind when it's really a predator. The first mistake costs you a few seconds and a jolt of fear. The second mistake costs you everything. There is no third chance. Your genes don't get passed down. So, evolution made a choice for you, long before you were born. It decided that being wrong in the safe direction was always better than being wrong in the fatal one. A brain that flinched at every shadow wasted a little energy. A brain that ignored shadows got eaten. Over millions of years, only the flinchers were left. This is what psychologists call the negativity bias. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think about your own life for a second. Someone gives you 10 compliments and 1 insult. Which one are you still hearing at 2 a.m.? You read 100 kind comments and 1 cruel one. Which one rewrites your entire day? A single piece of criticism can outweigh a week of praise. Your brain doesn't keep a fair ledger. Bad is heavier than good. It always has been. And it isn't just that bad things hit harder, they stick. A threat gets filed away, replayed, studied. Your mind keeps it close because the whole point of remembering danger is to recognize it faster next time. Good news never gets that treatment. It fades. It was never meant to be useful in the same way. For almost all of human history, this system was a gift. Here's the part that matters. The world your brain was built for was small. The dangers were local. A predator near your camp. A storm rolling over your valley. A rival group on the next ridge. The threats that mattered were the ones close enough to actually kill you. And information about those threats was rare and precious. If you heard that something terrible had happened, it had happened nearby to people like you, and it told you something you genuinely needed to know to survive the week. Knowing about danger was the same thing as escaping it. So your brain learned to crave that information. Bad news wasn't depressing. It was data. It was the difference between life and death. The hunger to know what's gone wrong out there is not a defect. It's one of the oldest, most successful survival tools your species ever built. But here's what happened. Somewhere in the last few thousand years, and then all at once in the last few decades, the world your brain expects stopped existing. The danger stayed local for 300,000 years. Then it didn't. Now you carry a small glowing rectangle. And that rectangle can reach every corner of a planet of 8 billion people. On a planet that size, something terrible is always happening. Somewhere. To someone. A disaster, a war, a crime, a collapse, every second of every day. None of it near you. Most of it unable to ever touch you. But your brain can't tell the difference. To the ancient hunter inside your skull, a tragedy on the other side of the world reads exactly like a predator outside the cave. And the people who make the news figured this out a long time ago. There's an old line in journalism. If it bleeds, it leads. They didn't invent your negativity bias. They just learned to feed it. The frightening story gets the click. The furious headline gets the share. The calm update that nothing much happened today gets ignored because your brain was never designed to pay attention to that. Then the machines learned the same lesson. The feed in your pocket doesn't want you informed. It wants you watching, and it has measured billions of times over exactly what keeps you watching. It learned that fear holds you longer than peace. That outrage travels faster than calm. So it serves you the threats. It hands the ancient hunter precisely what it's begging for, an endless supply of things that have gone wrong, and it never, ever runs out. Think about the last genuinely good thing that happened in the world. A disease pushed back. A child pulled from the rubble alive. A quiet act of decency on your own street. Did it reach you? Did it trend? Probably not. And not because it didn't happen. It happened constantly, everywhere today. It just didn't pull on the ancient thread. There was no rustle in it, so the feed let it slip silently past. The way your ancestors let the soft, safe sounds of a calm night slip past, straining only for the snap of a branch. This is the trap. Your survival instinct evolved for a world where bad news was scarce. You now live in a world where bad news is infinite. The instinct hasn't changed. Only the supply has. So you scroll. You tell yourself you're staying informed. You feel that small drop in your chest with each new headline, and you keep going anyway, because some ancient part of you is convinced that the next piece of bad news is the one you need in order to survive. It almost never is. But the hunter doesn't know that. It just keeps scanning, keeps pulling your eyes to the threat, keeps you safe from dangers that aren't yours and never will be. And it comes at a cost we're only beginning to understand. Your body can't tell the difference between a threat on a screen and a threat in the room. Every alarming headline trips the same ancient cascade, a small surge of stress chemistry meant to ready you to fight or to run. In the old world, that surge fired, you escaped the predator, and then your body stood down. The chemistry cleared. The danger passed, but a feed never passes. There is no escape and no resolution, only the next threat, and the next, and the next. So the alarm never fully switches off. You lie in bed at night, perfectly safe, while a body built for the open plain quietly braces for an attack that is never coming and never ends. Researchers keep finding the same strange thing. By almost every measure that can be counted, the world has been getting safer across the long arc of history. Less violence than a few centuries ago, longer lives, fewer of the threats that once stalked your ancestors. And yet people feel as though the world is ending. We are, on average, safer than any humans who have ever lived, and we feel more afraid than almost any humans who have ever lived. That gap is the negativity bias, scaled up to the size of the internet. A brain built to track a handful of local dangers, now drowning in every catastrophe on Earth at once. You were never meant to carry this much. No human was. For 300,000 years, the worst news you would hear in a lifetime was about the people in your own valley. Now you absorb the suffering of strangers on every continent before you've finished your coffee. And the part of you that's wired to take it all personally, to treat each one as a threat to you, has no off switch. It was never given one. It didn't need one. There simply wasn't enough bad news in the ancient world to require it. So, what do you do with a survival system that works perfectly in a world it was never built for? You can't delete it. It isn't a bad habit. It isn't weakness. It's the same instinct that kept every single one of your ancestors alive long enough to become your ancestor. The flincher in the grass. The one who assumed the worst and lived. That person is still in there. Still scanning the horizon. Still doing the only job they've ever known. The only thing that has changed is the size of the horizon. So the next time you feel that pull, that itch to refresh, to check, to find out what terrible thing happened while you weren't looking, remember what it actually is. It isn't curiosity. It isn't even really fear. It's 100,000 years of survivors whispering the same warning that once saved their lives. Pay attention. Something might be out there. They were right almost every time, for almost all of human history. You are alive because they listened. And the cruel joke is that the very instinct that built you is the one quietly taking your piece, one headline at a time. The strangest part of all is this. You can understand every word of what you've just heard, completely, and still feel the urge to reach for your phone the moment this video ends. The hunter doesn't care that you understand it. It was never listening to you. It's listening for the grass,